You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gathman.
All right, here we go. Episode 37 of the Original Music Podcast. Tonight we have Mike Bardis from Bardis Music. You can find him on Spotify. How you doing tonight, Mike?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. I got Rick Gathman and Mike Bardis.
Hey, Mike. Nice to meet you.
So
good to meet you too, Rick.
We, full disclosure, we go back. We've known each other for almost 20 years probably, and we've always talked music back and forth. But we never really have had the opportunity to collaborate or do anything. Well, I think we did kind of collaborate a little bit on a couple ideas, but the music that you do is what would you describe it as, the style of it?
Mostly just lately been house music, which is like a subgenre of EDM, and then under the subgenre of house music, mostly like tech house and bass house kind of stuff, right. And a little bit of like deep house stuff.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. The genres that you're talking about, is interesting, are kind of separated by BPMs.
Yeah, absolutely. An EDM for sure.
Yeah.
Like house is like usually can be like anywhere from like 120 to 128, and then like dubstep and bass music's like 140 to 150. I'm not sure you can do that for other genres of like rock and stuff, but yeah, EDM is kind of broken up by BPMs for sure.
You answered my question. I was wondering where dubstep fell into that whole thing, or if it did at all. I had no idea.
Yeah,
I'm an 80s hair guy, so that's why this is kind of a whole new world for me. I mean, I get it and I like it, and it sounds really good. The stuff that Ray's played for
stuff.
me. Yeah,
and and a lot of the dubstep comes. It's hard to maybe reach back far enough, but like it does come from metal. Like the hair metal turned into like death metal and the heavier stuff is what I'm trying to get to, gent metal, metalcore, stuff like that. That's kind of where a lot of influence from dubstep has been drawn from, believe it or not. So it's kind of all in a way linked.
Were there particular artists that kind of pushed those different genres?
Especially for like dubstep and metal. There's an artist out of Australia named Phase One. He does an incredible blends of both of them. It sounds like the genres were meant to be together in a sense by the way he's doing it. It's really recognizable metal and metalcore and very recognizable dubstep sounds, and to mix all that too is it's not easy stuff. So he's a goat for that. Super talented guy.
Yeah, that's really cool. Now, most of the music, the recording process of it are typically VSTs, virtual instruments, and a lot of programming, a lot of MIDI. So
all MIDI.
Yeah, so I've done my share of putting a keyboard track on a rock and roll track and using MIDI to do that. I couldn't imagine dealing with MIDI on basically every track. A, because I'll go down rabbit holes of getting everything super precise. But B, CPU. My computer is good at about 3 or 4 VSTs, and then everything else has to be analog audio. Or I'm
You're gonna have to go into a little bit of layman's terms for whoever might be watching this.
Yeah. We'll be talking a lot about the recording processes and best practices. When you're recording an acoustic guitar, say, you would put a mic like this in front of your acoustic guitar and hit record, have a click track maybe going on, and you're recording audio at that point. And your computer can pretty much chew on that pretty easily. When you're doing what Mike is doing, you're using what would be some of your go-to
synths and stuff? VST. Mainly there's one called Serum that's huge for kind of all genres of EDM. They kind of use it in everything. I use Roland. Roland has a system called Roland Cloud now, where you can use all their old like Junos and
Oh wow.
cool old like vintage synths. You get VSC versions of them. Um, but yeah, it is CPU intensive. You definitely need like a lot of RAM and a good processor. But the new Apple stuff's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Like anything with M1 related chip is unbelievable. And if you've got, I mean, yeah, more RAM the better for sure. But it gets
Which
expensive.
is read all memory, read
Random access memory.
access memory, and ROM is read only memory, right?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
not 100% actually.
Yeah,
But
the computers now are, I'm a little bit dated. I keep, tempting myself with updating and getting a new machine. Um, but do you struggle with what I do, where anytime you get a new machine that then, certain plugins don't work,
oh yeah.
and it's almost you can't turn on the computer without having an update from, Waves or Contact or any of those types of things.
Absolutely. I swear the way to go is once you get your computer working with all the plugins you have, do not ever update anything. Just turn off automatic updates, leave the thing alone, and let that computer live as long as it can as is until
our
you
phones.
upgrade your next machine.
Yeah, it's a lot like the phones, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's I've learned that lesson hard a few times. Like you're saying, like you get a new machine and then this OS isn't compatible with this group of plugins. Then you kind of have to wait, and yeah, once you get your machine right, you got to just leave it,
Yeah.
let it live.
Yeah, you would think that they would, as an industry, um, kind of work out something where Apple would tell all of the audio engineering industries, all right, give them a beta of it months before it's ever even released. Maybe here's the new OS. Get busy and work together, but it doesn't seem to work that way.
Yeah, it seems like every time there is a new OS is when most of the problems happen for people. But yeah, I think as long as once you get your machine, just get all your plugins, whatever you need to use, and leave it. Like, don't ever update anything. By the time you're ready for a new machine, all the new plugins will have new coding, and you'll be ready to redo everything by that point anyway. Is what I've started to fall into a pattern of. But I think, yeah, just leave the machine alone once it's working.
Yeah.
Turn off automatic updates because that is a nightmare for sure.
Yeah. Now, are you a external storage? Keep all of your goodies backed up on external?
I should be better about that. I keep pretty good, records, but not as good as I should. I keep all my samples and stuff on externals, but in terms of projects, they're pretty much all inside the machine,
Really?
which is, yeah, I probably should get on that and start being more responsible.
Are you doing the time machine update backups and stuff? You doing those frequently?
I can do them with my drives. I haven't with this new machine, but you're right. I definitely should.
Yeah,
because that's another nightmare potentially waiting to happen.
One can get kind of cocky when you get a brand new car. You're like, I don't even need to check the oil. Those types.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But
exactly.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? It's brand new.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Until it does go wrong, then you're. I had an issue with my main guitar plugin, the tones that I get. I use Positive Grid.
Oh yeah.
And since my OS is so old, and like even their updates are now not starting to work with my Pro Tools. Like, if I do the update, so I made the mistake of doing an update, and when I powered it on, all my guitars were just dry, clean, clink, clink, clink.
Really?
And I was like, oh my god.
It erased everything you did?
Well, it erased all of the sounds. Like one would have been a Marshall sound, or one would have been a liquid guitar sound, and they all were just dry guitars. And I was like, oh my goodness, I never printed to tape those guitars processed.
Okay, so it didn't mess your Kemper up.
No, the Kemper's that's another whole another animal
for
recording, because then you're putting the process.
Well, it's your modeling. I mean,
Yeah.
it didn't mess your modeling up in everything. It just did it in your computer.
No, but they were good at tech support. They got me the old version back, and I reloaded it and got my sounds back. But that was my last turn off your automatic updates moment.
Yes.
And
Yeah. There's always one, and it's a terrifying moment, like just like that. Like you potentially about to lose a whole project, nothing opens, nothing works, and
Wow.
yeah, you gotta revert back. Or that's pretty awesome that they were able to give you an older version so that it would work.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've that happens. I think everyone who starts producing at some point will have that that issue of the updates.
Yeah.
Gotta turn them off.
Yeah. Well, when you're doing your recording, what is your DAW that you're using? Are you using? I have no idea. You're not using Wait, are you using Pro Tools?
No, I'm using Ableton Live 11.
Wow. Okay.
It's in terms of like MIDI, Pro Tools isn't really made for that. It's really made for just like audio.
Mm-hmm.
You could use MIDI in there, but it's not the best. And since this is pretty, the stuff I'm doing is pretty much all MIDI. Not all of it, but 80% of it is MIDI. At least at some point in the beginning. Eventually, it turns into audio, and you can manipulate it further from there. But yeah, you got to use something that's MIDI and ready. And yeah, Ableton's, from what I've come across, Ableton's the best for that.
Yeah.
Okay, I got to jump in here because I'm kind of lost as far as what you two were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know how to play drums. No, you're fine. This is a learning curve for me. I play drums. I know, what I want things to sound like. Ray can go in and change the way things sound, which is really cool. But so when you record what you're doing, you're not recording actual instruments. Is this?
No. I don't even use a keyboard. Like I basically.
So how do you trigger your sound?
So you take in any MIDI instrument or any DAW, really, you can get a MIDI. You want to load a MIDI track. There's a difference between a MIDI track and an audio track. Audio just for audio. A MIDI track will allow you to put a VST, which is a virtual, some kind. I don't know what it stands for, but it's a virtual instrument basically. You can put a piano or a synth or whatever that's playable.
Okay.
You can then take a keyboard, hook it into your computer, and then play that synth live through USB. Or you can just draw in what you want it to play in terms of what notes and where and the velocity and all that stuff, which is, I like to do it that way. For one, I can't play a keyboard for beans, but I can know where things should go, what notes, should work. And yeah,
so what
I
are
just
you
draw
literally hitting with your fingers?
He's using
to trigger
a mouse
a sound
on a piano roll.
Just a mouse?
You could, yeah, right on the piano roll. So like if you could use your mouse, I use a trackpad
on a virtual screen. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And same with for my drums. Usually I do use audio samples for drums, but it's the same thing. I'm just placing the drums where I want them. I'm not just like playing a sampler and putting them in. I'm just doing it by hand.
Throw an 808 wherever you want it. Put a
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
So he's essentially looking at an Excel spreadsheet that happens to have a keyboard on the left side and going that.
I get it.
He's drawing the notes. Which
that's interesting. That's got to be difficult, I would think. And
time consuming.
Very time consuming.
It is time consuming compared to someone that can actually play it for sure. I probably should focus a little bit more on some piano lessons, but
So are you? Forgive me for asking you this, but do you consider yourself a musician?
For sure, I play drums.
Oh, okay. You did say that earlier. That's right.
Yeah,
and bass.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, musician or producer, right? What
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So, doing what you're doing when you're doing this electronic music, what would you say that you play? You know what I mean? Like
all of it.
Really. I play the computer.
Yeah, that's a great answer. Actually.
It is that is the answer.
Yeah,
really.
It's an instrument at this point.
It's knowing where to place things because musically where things should be.
Yeah,
and you talked about velocity and so
for sure.
So drumming, if something should be louder or softer here or
for sure.
Yeah, okay.
Placing ghost notes in certain places, obviously. Okay. Yeah, stuff like that. It's kind of trying to have an understanding of how all the instruments work, and then being able to use your trackpad or mouse and just paint it into the computer.
Yeah,
that's a good way of putting it. Yep.
So the VST stands for Virtual Studio Technology. It's a plugin that interfaces into, like you said, whether it's a MIDI controller or it's a virtual instrument. Is what I call it, VSTs. But so on the open, we played the Apollo. Was it Apollo is here?
Oh, Apollo said.
Yeah, Apollo said. We played a bit of that track. You were saying that was done in 2015.
Yeah, I was pretty early in my production years.
Yeah,
and I was really into dubstep and stuff at the time, which was fun. I learned a lot, but have moved on since then from that kind of stuff.
My son used to love dubstep, and I was just like, "What the fuck are you listening
what
to?
Is it?
What the hell is that noise coming out of your car? Make it stop."
but I listen to it now, and I listen to it probably more from a because I can understand it because I've done enough recording.
Yeah, I can appreciate it now.
Wow, how'd they pull that? Like drops, like
oh yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, is that a trait in like most every EDM?
Yeah, that's probably there is like a climactic point, which would be like a drop, and so it'd be like the chorus in a rock song, but it's the point of EDM is where people are there to dance and have a good time.
Yeah.
Obviously you can do that at rock shows too, but the sole purpose of a DJ set is it's a party basically for the most part, and it's a different.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's funny that you both say that because I'm in another band called Say Never, and we've got a couple of songs where I've found that would fit 808 drops perfectly, and we just haven't done it yet, but we're going to in the new stuff. But so we're kind of adopting a little bit of EDM in what we're doing.
I love that.
Yeah.
And then the 808, that's kind of stuff was stolen. That's from the 808s, hip hop. Yeah, it's
been around forever. I know, but and we're just kind of a raw rock band. But it's like, man, just an 808 drop right there would be badass, and people would just freak and be like, yeah. So
I love that. They used to use it in metalcore drops here and there, and I always thought that was the coolest thing in the world because it just felt like, and it was live, dude. It feels like the whole room just shakes.
Yes. Right. You feel it in your stomach.
Yeah, we really do. It's like through your core of your body.
Yeah, it's
really
awesome.
Very heavy. It's cool.
So the idea is, we're in a club and we're dancing. We're on a BPM that is, for that genre of or whatever's happening, and it builds up, and then boom, and drops, and everybody goes crazy and they get going again.
They get going again, and then you give them a little break to like catch their breath or not. Depends on the style. I mean, there's some styles like it used to be called Q dance, but now it's called hard style, and I don't even know if you want to explore that, but that is some of the craziest shit I've ever heard in my life.
It's called hard style. I'm gonna grab my notepad.
Yeah, look up a guy named Lil Texas, Lil Texas. He's an American hardstyle producer, and it is fucking wild. Crowds love it. It's not for everybody, I will tell you that. Just like every genre is not for everybody, but it's pretty cool to see. I think it's cool in a sense that people love it, and if the crowd reacts like to something crazy, there's something to that. You can't really deny that.
So just because I'm old. I'm
old.
Is Steve Aoki? Is that his name?
Steve Aoki.
Aoki. Is he still around? He's the cake guy, right? He throws cakes at the crowd.
Yep, he does. He throws a cake at someone in the crowd every show.
He's like a billionaire doing this.
Really?
Yeah. He's one of the highest paid guys, I think, isn't he?
He's got to be up there. He's a big name, and he's got a really big record label named Dim Mak.
Okay. That's right.
Yeah, he's a big wig for sure.
Yeah, him and Marshmello, I think, is another guy. Isn't that his name?
That was another big one. Marshmello was a producer named .com and then rebranded and just blew up.
You ever watch Ridiculousness?
Yeah, I love.
Oh yeah, with Rob Dyrdek, right?
Yeah. Did you see the episode where Aoki was on it?
No.
And you just said what his record label was.
Dim Mak.
And they made one of the little sketches called Damak, and
Oh, really?
it was called, and people were just like skating along, and all of a sudden, wham, hit the ground. Hey, that's what he said it meant. It just meant like biting the dust, and so they did.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, it was hysterical. It was like a
That works
fire.
perfect.
Hmm.
Perfect branding.
So when would you say that the beginning of what year did EDM start? Who's the godfather of where did it?
That's a good question.
Euro? I always thought it was
You
Euro.
have to go back. It would go back to like the '80s in like Chicago, like Detroit, where like house started. I'm pretty sure, but you could even point like back at like there was groups like Clockwork, I think they're called. I might have to check that, but I think they were a German group, and they just did a bunch of weird synthesizer stuff. And along the years, stuff got married. But I actually have a graph I can send you if you really want to go down that rabbit hole, because it goes pretty far back.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It just sort of went mainstream somewhere around like 2010.
Yeah.
At least here in the U.S. it did. But yeah, no, that's a deep complicated rabbit hole. We'll email you a graph if you're interested. It's pretty fascinating, and it gives you audio examples where you can hear what they're talking about and how new genres melded, new things came off.
Now, do you ever take something like that information and go, and try to create in that genre of '93? This was the thing in '93,
and try to bring something of that back.
Yeah.
Lately, I've been trying to bring some kind of like '90s vocal vibes back, but I'm not really too efficient at it. But it's definitely an influence. All that, I think some of that '90s house music. I mean, you still hear some of that stuff today. It's its own thing, and it was incredible at the time.
Yeah.
I just watched a documentary on Woodstock 1999. Where they had the one night where they had, I guess it was all dubstep. I forget the guy's name, but they had this airplane hangar. So at night, the after party was in this airplane hangar, and it was just everybody jumping, and they had the DJ up, and weird shit was going on. Like somebody on drugs grabbed a van and started driving it slowly through the crowd, and girls were getting raped, and so they had to stop.
What?
The DJ had to actually get out of there because the crowd was going to, lynch him if he didn't keep playing. But it turned into a safety thing. So you should watch the documentary on it. It's crazy.
Yeah, that sounds crazy. I would definitely check that out. I did not know that.
I think
it's a very well known guy too. Yeah. I think he's still very well known.
Yeah, I think when I think of EDM or house, even house music. I think of raves. That was the big thing in the '90s, early.
That's what they called it, I think, the rave hangar.
Yeah, you go to the rave, and that's where you would hear that kind of music. But then it became more mainstream, and I started noticing it. Like, you remember Blade, the movie Blade?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, or John Wick, even when like they go into a building, and there's this boom, boom, boom music going on. And there's always some chaos about to happen.
They always seem to tie it into some dark stuff. Yeah.
Now, I wonder why that is.
It's the devil's music.
Well, I mean, everything.
Yeah, but if you really, that's no way. Because if you're really going to point at devil's music, you just got to look at death metal. Like that's literally.
I was just teasing.
Yeah.
I mean,
I
grew up with
but
Kiss.
People do say that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Kiss is awesome, man. I don't even know.
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's what made me want to play drums, and they were always called, Knights in Satan service or some bullshit like that.
They were geniuses. They had an incredible brand, and they were great
100%,
musicians.
100%.
Yeah,
great musicians is pushing it, but
they wrote
I'm just a reality guy.
Songwriters,
great
songwriters for sure.
And I think it all goes back to was it Ted Templeton that was their producer?
That was Van Halen's.
That was Van
producers.
Halen's.
They had Doc McGee was their manager.
Yeah.
It may have been Ted Templeton for a minute.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was with them the entire time.
But nonetheless, that you have to have a great producer, which is essentially what you're doing. You have to, in order to make something sound, good and have quality sounds. the guy behind the mixing board, or in these days the computer,
Yeah.
is that's that guy,
Or the single slider.
Yeah. Speaking of singles,
another inside joke.
yes. Speaking of singles, I'm noticing that you're not interested in doing a 13, 14, 17 song EP. You focus fully on singles.
Yeah. The data lately points to nobody wants to listen to an EP. No one wants to listen to an album. They want to hear a single. They don't have time for it. If you don't get them within that listen, they're definitely not going to listen to your whole album. You know what I mean?
Right.
So putting out a single and keeping momentum on Spotify and other places, I think trying to put something out every 4 to 6 weeks is a good target. It kind of seems to be what most people, at least in EDM, are doing. And it helps continue to build your following and your momentum in terms of monthly listeners and just expanding your reach.
Yeah. We've talked about it ad nauseum. Is that how you say it? Ad nauseum.
Yeah.
About Spotify, kind of, you're, as an artist, we're kind of locked into having to put your music up on Spotify so people can hear it, and I get that, but then you have to become, a marketing mogul in order to push your project. And
different world.
That's not what I got into music for, but that's where we are, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. You kind of have to learn what you can as you go. I'm still trying to figure it out as well. And yeah, you got to send your songs to playlist curators and hope for the best.
Yeah.
It's really the only way to go.
So that is an option that I have seen, and we talked about before. I got an email, saying we'd love to help you get your viewership up and your viewing hours and all that kind of stuff. Playlist curators is another thing. Are they legit? Is it a scam?
You got to be careful. There are definitely ones that are scams. If they're just selling you on plays, it's a scam.
Yes.
You need to do your homework on who you're submitting to for sure, and where those submissions are going. Usually you go to usually for what I'm doing, you go to places like Submit Hub or Groover.com. And there's another one called Playlist Push, which I'm still trying to figure out if they're good or not. But yeah, so you send them your track, you usually pay them a little bit of money, and then they submit it to these curators who have playlists that are within line of your music. And hopefully they have a good following and actual real listeners. But yeah, I know the ones that I've named I've had pretty good. It seems real. It's nothing fishy. Like you're not getting 20,000 plays, but then you check the listeners and it says 2 listeners or something. It makes no sense.
Right.
It seems pretty real, but yeah, you got to be careful. There's definitely a lot of scams out there for sure.
So that was Gruber, Playlist Push, and who else?
It was Submit Hub. Yeah, those are the 3 that I've been using. There are more. A buddy named one yesterday. If it comes to mind, I'll throw it in there. But
so what's the average cost on something like that if you're doing just one at a time?
Depends on how far you want to go. The more you submit to, the more it costs. You say something like Submit Hub, you put $100 in and you get a certain amount of credits. Every curator is a certain amount of credits to submit to. It's either 2 or 4, or sometimes it's 6 if they're a really big one. They give you good stats. You can kind of tell if it's a real playlist just from looking at it. It'll tell you what their monthly listeners are, what their rate is, how if it's growing, stuff like that, to where you can kind of tell it's legit. And then you just click and submit. You can sometimes write them a little personalized note, explain what's going on with the track and who you are, and just cross your fingers and see what happens.
Yeah. Now it's kind of like social media ads or Google ads.
Right. Exactly.
Any of that. I don't know why I feel more comfortable giving my money to Meta as opposed to somebody that's specializing in something like that.
I've got friends that have had success with Facebook ads, and I've tried them, and I'm not really sure what to think, so I don't really do them as much. But I know that can be a good route, because Spotify does like to see that your listeners are coming from outside sources other than just people listening through Spotify. If they see that like someone was drawn here from Facebook or whatever,
right,
you're more likely to get picked up in their algorithm and put into like radio and stuff.
So we're just trying to catch a wave on the algorithm by giving them money.
Right.
So it's pay to play
one,
all over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're basically just trying to get the attention of the AI.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And
if
you,
yeah,
God.
yeah,
it's crazy. It's and the a whole other conversation, but the lack of compensation from Spotify is just insane compared to what should be.
0.00033.
Yeah. Here we go.
Yeah.
Here you go. Listen to this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. You have to be in the music industry now. You can't be the essentially homeless without a girlfriend, driving around in a van doing random gigs like the old days. You essentially have to have, an outside career in order to fund your little adolescent fantasy of playing music.
It's true.
Well,
yeah.
Have you either of you? I'm sure you have heard of a thing called Drumeo.
Drumeo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I follow Drumeo on Instagram.
So I watched a video, or I don't even know what they call it. It was the first episode, like a Drumeo episode that I've ever seen on my TV. When I got out of the shower yesterday, I laid in bed, and for some reason it's what popped up on my TV, and I'm like, I'm gonna watch this because it was Tommy Aldridge from Whitesnake, Deep Purple. Of course, you all know who Tommy Aldridge is, and
for sure, he's on there.
Super sweet guy, super nice, honest guy, humble as could be, and he was just talking about how these days, he's blown away at how he was blessed to be able to play with Randy Rhoads and all these other just guitar players that invited him into their world.
Yeah.
He's like, nowadays there are so many people that are just so talented, and the pool has gotten so much bigger that it's not the way it used to be. You can't just hope that somebody heard you and then you're locked in with them anymore. It's true. So the point being is getting to be in the position that Tommy Aldridge is in right now. Chances are,
not happening.
It ain't gonna happen for you. I mean, your chances of winning the lottery are way better.
Yeah.
For sure. There are so many talented people. I was talking about that the other day about, especially with drums, how drums have changed over the last 10 years, 15 years. It's crazy. Like the stuff guys are doing now is absolutely fucking crazy.
It really is. I mean, I'm 54 years, almost 55 years old, and there's 10-year-olds that play circles around me. Not to mention these guys, that bearded guy who just he's
plays one-handed from Siberia.
I've hung out with Portnoy several times, and this guy give Portnoy a run for his money, and he idolizes Portnoy, and I'm like, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know who's better.
Right, guys that's the thing. The guys get, they idolize a guy, they emulate him, they figure out everything he does, and then they go beyond that.
And they pass him up. That's right.
Yeah, it's just a endless snowball that's never going to stop.
Yeah,
it's rolling down the hill.
Yeah, what you were saying about drums. We went to the Animals as Leader Dream Theater, Devin Townsend show.
Dream Sonic is what it was called.
Yeah, and
awesome.
To me, the drummer for Animals as Leaders, I think this is their third drummer now, but it doesn't matter because all of the guys that have ever played in Animals as Leaders are wizards.
Yeah,
they are.
He was great.
Yeah, master mathematicians on the percussion instrument.
Devin Townsend was actually I enjoyed seeing him, and I think a little bit more than I did Dream Theater, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Just because it was new to me, and I've been around Dream Theater since the '90s. So.
Yeah, Matt Garska, the drummer for, I hope I'm not butchering his last name, but the drummer for Animals as Leaders, he's my favorite. I don't think anybody's better than him at this point right now.
Yeah.
Wow.
He does the most complicated stuff, but he gives it like a pocket. It feels so natural.
Yeah.
But he's doing the most. I mean, you can't even wrap your head around some of the time, like some of the stuff he's doing.
Yeah,
I'll have to delve a little deeper into that then.
Well, you were there, and I was looking at you, and we were going, This is algebra.
It really is.
This is actually quantum physics.
But
but he gives it a groove.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I'm a balls and chunk guy. You know what I mean? I've always been that way. I still want that balls and chunk. That's why Dream Theater lost me after a certain time period. Like I loved when Dream and Day Unite, Awake. What was the one after that one that had? I don't know. After like their sixth album, it started getting a little bit too
operatic.
I had to think a little too hard to listen to it. I don't want to think. I want to move. You know what I mean?
Feel it. Yeah. I feel you.
So it got a little bit too much. You know, where the keyboard player and Petrucci were like in a race.
Yeah,
it's just
who can be more complicated? Well, that's why King's X was so good that night because it was
they're groove
balls and chunk.
Yeah,
it was just groove. And I think, you know, we talked about BPMs being so crucial in the EDM world to actually describe what it is in a genre. I think that's the difference. Like King's X, they would play at like 78 BPM, and you know, maybe
slow and chunky.
Yeah, slow and chunky and groovy, and then I mean, you go to double time from 78, and it feels fast. Yeah. So, but they're
one of those bands that obviously aren't playing to a click. They're freeballing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're playing to Jerry.
Yeah,
they're playing to Jerry's pacemaker. I think actually nowadays
it could be, but
unfortunately,
it works for them. You know, they're that kind of band that can get away with that.
Yeah. Well, that's a good turning point to live. Are you just releasing singles, or are you looking to do a live set?
At some point, probably. At this point, I'm just here to keep putting stuff out and build a fan base. If some demand comes and people want me to play a show, hell yeah, I'd love to. But I'm not gonna just run around and start DJing around town.
Yeah,
I want to focus on the music and production.
It'd be kind of fun to do a show with him.
Yeah, I mean that would be kind of
something different because we've been talking about adding different singers to different songs that we're doing in different styles
in the Giza project. Yeah,
cool.
So having different bands play with us at shows would be a good mix. I think you know it's just
cool.
or do a collab Giza track.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that might be. I think that makes some sense for sure. I would definitely love to get involved.
Well, what would a live gig look like for you? Like though, it would essentially kind of be a DJ thing, right? You
have a light up helmet, right?
Light up helmet.
I'm not that level yet. Maybe one. No, I would. Yeah, it'd just be a DJ set.
Gotcha.
Probably, hopefully at a EDM type club or something like that with DJs and stuff.
With super subs.
Oh yeah. The sub is very important.
Oh, that's a good point. I wonder if the actual PA
makes a big difference.
Has to be different, really, than like a PA that we would use, isn't it?
I would think.
Yeah, for sure. There are guys that do tour and bring their own like 50,000 watts of extra subs.
Just subs.
Yeah. And they plug it into their house PA, and then they just they have their lights and everything. It's all synced. And,
wow. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's pretty cool.
It's like he said, if it's going to hit you in the core,
it's got to be there.
You're going to move some horsepower. Yeah. Well, let's go further back to I think Asher and Quick was a band that you were playing with when we first started talking. You actually played a show with us.
Yeah, we did at Smith's Old Bar.
Yeah. That was a fun night.
Well, it was a little too fun.
It was a lot of fun. So when did you, growing up, go? Because I know your family has always kind of been in sports and sports this, sports that, and
for sure.
You when did you come out and say, man, I want to make art?
I started playing like the snare drum in 5th grade. I always thought the drum set was the coolest looking thing in the world. I always just wanted to sit behind it and play it. And I just kind of went from there. I did school band. Eventually, I got a drum set. Met Adrian Lawrence, who you've met before, and Dave and those guys in high school. We liked punk rock, so we learned like
3 chords,
No Effects, and Good Riddance, like MXPX, a lot of just a lot of punk rock songs, and then started writing our own, and kind of just grew from there.
Right.
Grew up learning how to play those guys' stuff first, though.
Yeah. Well, okay. Look at that. I mean, you were writing songs, doing original music in high school.
Yeah.
And
yeah, him and I have a very similar background as far as that goes. Because my first original song was my senior year. Even though I was in my high school band for 5 years.
Wow.
We had one original song. It was terrible.
That's awesome. Whatever, you still do it though.
Oh, that's cool. Good question. What was your very first?
And we played with Frontrunner, who had a full album.
Huh? And they were big time.
And you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
We have believe it or not, him and I have a mutual friend from 1980. Like I knew him in 1986.
Yeah.
And I don't know, how long have you known him?
And
it's when I lived in St. Louis. I graduated high school in St. Louis.
He went to high school with the guy, right?
No, he went to a different high school in St. Louis.
Yeah.
But our bands played together.
Yeah, and I met him probably.
Small world.
Yeah, it is a small. It's a small world of gypsies.
He was actually in Giza Is Gone for a minute, wasn't he?
He was in Giza Is Gone for a minute.
That's crazy.
Yeah, kind of weird, right?
Yeah, it is a small world. But like I said, it's a band of gypsies that just happen to speak language of music, and it seems like at some point you're going to cross each other, but
well, we cross each other all the time, but we make up usually.
Yeah. So you got started drums, and then I saw you playing bass. So you just kind of always have been into music, and were the parents okay with that? Was
for sure, they were super supportive. I know they didn't want me at heart to try to do most of it, but like I loved that shit. Like I loved just banging away on drums and trying to learn stuff and memorize things. Eventually I went to the Atlanta Institute of Music, and that was right before Asher and Quick, right about the same time.
Yeah.
To get better at drums. Didn't finish, but learned a lot. And Asher and Quick was super fun though.
Yeah, that was actually good material, man. I occasionally will come across, because I put it into my iTunes. Occasionally it'll pop up. I'm like, man, that was I would consider was kind of a pop punk. It was poppy as hell, but
really
it still had an edge of punk to it.
A little bit of punk, yeah. We're actually going back to record with our friends Zach Odom and Kenneth Mount to record like 4 songs, I think in November. Some new ones, just for fun. We're all pushing 40, and they all have kids and stuff. But we got to keep doing it. Why not? It's in our heart.
And who's gonna sing?
I think either Chris Williams or Dave Williams. I'm really not sure what I don't even know. I'm not really sure yet, actually, at that point. But one of them, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's always fun to get back with old buddies and just
for sure.
And
it's the best.
And what's most fun, what I find, is that most of the time everybody's a better musician than they were back then.
For sure.
Definitely better producers than they were back then.
They don't drink as much.
They don't drink as much.
Definitely better musicians.
Yeah, and for the most part, everybody has better gear than we had back then, because just the gear back then was just new. It wasn't
right.
PV amps.
And plus, now you've got jobs. You can get a good guitar. Back then, when you're broke, it's hard to get your hands on. Decent gear.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day. I was like, man, I remember stressing out when I would break a string, because I was like, man, that's a $5 pack of strings, man. It would stress me out to go, okay, give me 5 on pump 10,
right?
Or because I broke strings,
priorities.
Yeah,
deciding between it's
so that I guess is the one good thing about getting older is
at least they sold singles back then.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, back in the day they did. Yeah. They still do, I'm sure.
Yeah, actually, I don't know. You can't go to Guitar Center and give me a 10 gauge.
No, maybe
you
not.
Get single strings.
Yeah, we used to be able to.
Oh, always back in the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
I worked in a music store for 12 years back, like just before 2000. And yeah, we sold tons of 9s and 10s, and
that's incredible.
Yeah.
They should bring it back. That's so like convenient.
Yeah. All our set, like to buy a set of strings, it was buy 2 get 1 free.
That's amazing.
Yeah, or buy 1 get 1 half price. We always.
And now you have to buy a whole pack, right?
No, you have to go on Amazon. You buy you buy a box of 10 packs.
If you want to, yeah, well, like you
That's what I
said,
have to do.
nowadays we can do that, but back then,
Yeah.
that none of that shit existed.
Yeah.
But yeah, you probably get a really good deal on a box of 12 sets. Don't you?
Yeah, I buy them that way. Yeah. Yeah. So back to the journey here. So you went from kind of high school, going to AIM and playing kind of punk rock and live rock and roll. At what point did you change to producing EDM stuff?
Well, the guys kind of, everyone was getting older, getting jobs, and I wanted to keep learning. I had attended a couple EDM shows and was completely blown away by the energy in the live crowd. I was just like floored by it. I'd never seen anything like that since like a metal show. Like
Right.
I love metal, grew up listening to a lot of that as well. But yeah, I hadn't seen anything like it, and I was like, this doesn't seem too difficult to do. But that's always,
Yeah.
it's an arrogant thought looking back for sure, because the rabbit hole in anything production wise, instrument wise, is incredibly deep. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into it. Saw it live and was like, I'm gonna try that and figure it
Yeah.
out.
I don't think it's
I'm still-
arrogant. I think it's ignorant because you just didn't realize.
You
Didn't know-
know it.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
arrogance.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because I agree with you. You know what I mean? Like I can look at certain things drum wise and go, oh, that I can do that. And then you start, you go to do it. And it's like,
Really, wait a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on a minute now. I
Little-
need to think a
little
little harder
trickier.
about that.
Yeah. What sounds simple,
Right.
typically
Sometimes
isn't. Right.
That's right.
There's
a lot
a-
of times
yeah.
isn't. Yeah.
And that's actually a thing with production. Like, I think some of the best producers take the simplest things. Like, there's not that a lot of layers. It's just a couple of things going on, and they are able to make a full track of it. There's a genius to that for
Oh,
sure.
you definitely take Mutt Lang back in the day when Def
Yeah.
Leppard was recording, and he kept pushing them, going, "No, one more track."
Yeah.
They're like, "What?
Yeah.
We're done. No, we're layering it. We're gonna layer it again. We're gonna layer it one more time," which
Yeah.
gave them their signature sound.
Yeah.
You know.
Great
So
sounding record.
big stacked vocals. Yeah.
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 Mm-hmm.
Well, so was it around 2015 when the Apollo track that you did that? Was it one of your first tracks or?
I had done a couple before, but yeah, that was the first one that I got like any. Second one that got some decent attention for a no-name kid producing. But yeah, I had been producing probably for like 4 years at that point.
Okay.
When that one came out.
Yeah. Well,
5.
we've had conversations in passing, and he's taught me things that in recording about like tuning your kick drum or even your snare drum. I know I don't do a track in my studio now without using the pitch control on the kick and snare to try to match the key of my song.
100%.
So if your song's in the key of A, you can boom, boom. You can tune the kick drum, either detune or typically it's I typically go down, but you can go up or down and match the tuning of the song to the percussion of of the VST. Because it's a VST, we can tune the kick wherever.
Yeah.
I realized that. I just didn't realize that you were doing that.
Yeah.
I thought I had a sound, and that's what we were rolling with.
Yeah, no. A lot happens after you leave.
What the fuck is going on?
A lot
That's
happens
not at all
after you
how I
leave.
wanted it to sound.
But that's something.
Good thing you're good at it.
Yeah, that's the thing I never really thought of until you brought it up. And so what he was saying about hearing the EDM stuff and going, that sounds easy. Then getting into the producing of it and seeing how detailed that you were getting, tuning the drums, and the other thing we talked a lot about is sidechain compression.
Oh yeah.
Who turned you on to the tuning, and an 808? You can tune the 808 drop to the key of the song. Right?
Yeah.
You should, yeah. You should. Everything should be in tune, unless you're purposely making it out of tune for a creative purpose. It should be in tune for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But tuning drums. Zach and Kenneth Odom, they're pretty big producers for a lot of pop punk albums. They've got a lot of gold records. They're actually over in Alpharetta. But I learned about tuning drums through them.
Wow.
They tune everything. They tune the toms, everything.
Wow.
Who is that? You said
Zach Odom and Kenneth Mount. They're at you can look up Z&K Productions. They are geniuses, great dudes.
Cool.
Love them both to death.
Yeah, I think
Great musicians too.
Yeah, I think at one point I went to their place to pick up a speaker cabinet or something way back in the day. Or
They used to work in Tree Sound back in the day, and now they have their own studio.
Gotcha. Yeah, Tree Sound, that goes way
do
back.
they play? I mean, are they like actual artists that play around?
Yeah, they do. They can. They're great. Kenneth's a great drummer, great bass player. Zach's an incredible guitar player, and they pre-produce and help write pretty much with everybody that comes through. They kind of make everyone that comes through sound.
But they're not in a band that plays out.
No, they're producers.
Gotcha.
That's
okay.
Producers, engineers.
Yeah. Which comes back to playing out. You know, we're in the live. We have a show coming up in 2 weeks, and playing out used to be so much fun. And nowadays it's like, whoa, okay, you got to land a gig, you got to sign contracts, you got to sign non-compete, 30-mile radius or 50-mile radius.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. Certain places.
Yeah. And you know, with Spotify paying 0.00033 cents a stream, you know, artists, the only way they could make money was to play out.
Sell your merch.
And sell your merch.
It still is.
It's still very true.
Even for the Nationals. I mean, I toured with the Nationals since 2016. That's the only way for any of those guys to make money.
Yeah.
Is to tour.
It's true.
Even with a gold record, if they have one or not, they still have to tour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to be playing out for sure.
Yeah.
And we were talking to Sixth Sense, which is the band that he's got the shirt on. They check them out.
Good friends of mine. These are awesome people.
Yeah, well,
awesome people.
They're a modern metal band, with some really interesting vocals.
Yep.
But what they were saying, a conversation came up about, you know, if you were to play,
it's new metal, by the way.
New metal and right? New metal.
Nice.
New metal.
Yeah. If you were to play a Maris amphitheater, right? The venue gets a cut of your merchandise.
I've
been hearing
that's typical.
That even the Masquerade, I think when we used to play there all the time, I think that was I think we were supposed to do that. I don't know that we ever did. Tim Sweetwood was such a good dude to us. I don't think he gives a shit at this point because he's doing pretty well. But I feel like I don't know how long that's been around where you had to give a cut.
Yeah, a long time. It's still that way. Even for the festivals, you do the big festivals, Rocklahoma. Yeah, I mean anywhere, unless the actual venue that you're playing is cool.
Yeah.
But if it's a big festival, the second your tour bus pulls up, they bring a golf cart over and load up your gear. You go, you inventory it with somebody. You both have a copy of it. You come back, they get their cut, you get your cut, and then you get your shit back and put it back on It's a load of
What kind of percentage do they take?
Honestly, I'm not at liberty to say because I honestly don't know. That part of it I don't know.
I mean, I do get it. You're selling on their platform. It's like you look at it like, how are you going to sell your shirt on Shopify? Like, obviously, Shopify is going to take a cut of that. But I get it. But you know,
it hurts.
You'd think that they could just say,
I mean, if you have people there that are actually selling it for you, I kind of get it. If you have your own merch person there selling your own stuff, then it's a different story.
It should be less of a percent, if any.
Right.
Yeah.
And we play clubs. We'd go for playing festivals to clubs, and it was the same situation. They still wanted the same
clubs
percentage.
would want it.
Only they were using our own merch girl to sell our merch, and they're still taking a percentage. It's like, okay.
Damn.
You know,
I don't
like you're renting a little corner of the club to sell a T-shirt.
Yeah, as an artist, it'd be like, okay, if you're taking percentage of merchandise, then I want a percentage of the bar and food.
Right.
Sometimes you do get a cut if that's in your contract.
Well, if you're not getting paid, right? Yeah, they'll give you a percentage of the bar and then a percentage of the door, or vice versa, which you and I have been through.
Yeah, it's
all
it's interesting. I mean,
it's not in our favor. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh no way! You're the entertainment. You're not. Yeah, for sure.
That's where Kiss had it figured out.
Yeah.
They just came in there with their war paint on and just sold lunch boxes and thermoses and everything else.
Caskets, condoms,
everything. I think you can get a Kiss. They need a car. Kiss car.
It probably is.
Get with Elon.
Yeah, right.
Make a Kiss car.
A Kiss Tesla.
Yeah. Speaking of Elon, who are you taking, Zuckerberg or Musk in the battle royale?
How unfair question.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen, but I heard Zuckerberg's been training some jujitsu, and I don't know. I mean, how old is Elon now?
I think he's 40. Let me look him up.
He's going to beat the piss out of that little runt.
Well, he has been training.
Elon has now?
Well, both of them actually. So apparently, Elon Musk had done some martial arts as a kid. He's 52 years old. So and Zuckerberg, let's look at, but he's got 100 pounds on him.
He's a geek. He's not gonna.
Who's got 100 pounds on who?
Elon's got 100 pounds on Zuck, I bet.
Oh, come on.
How tall? Yeah, let's get detailed here. What's their height?
Elon Musk?
I think Zuckerberg's gonna cry.
I heard it's not actually going to happen.
Yeah, I did too.
There's no way. There's no way they're going to do that.
I agree. I heard the same.
Two of the wealthiest guys. There's no way. This is bad.
Well,
bad for everybody.
Why would they? I mean, what's the point?
What's the win? The end game there, right?
Right.
Unless something's going on politically that we need to have our focus taken off of,
Right. Yeah. It'd be a smoke screen. Look at this. Don't look over there.
Right.
Yeah, I can't really get there's a lot of tail of the tape things pulling up here, but I think it's fun. I think it's fun to think about. But my concern is Musk loses and my Tesla stock drops 13% the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a fair point. I wonder how that would play out in the stock market.
It wouldn't be good if he lost. So I think that they have got too much to lose, and you would think they would have too much to do to be goofing around with that.
Literally, you're CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies. Come on.
Yeah, but it's cool.
Well, it's like you said, unless they're doing it just for fun.
Yeah.
Who else did that just for fun, and it didn't work out? Back in the day, two people got together and fought, and it was just kind of stupid.
Well, that's the other thing too. The quality of the fight would just be like,
that's just two guys that can't fight.
That's exactly what happened too. Neither one of them could finish.
I can see that on Worldwide Hip Hop. What is it? Hip Hop Worldwide? What is that?
World Star.
World Star. Yeah, they got better fights. But but there is still the opportunity in this country for lightning in the bottle to happen. And what I'm getting to with that is Rich Men North of Richmond, the track from Oliver Anthony that's all over the place right now. Here's the guy playing a resonator guitar and just playing country music and singing, but the message that he's saying has caught fire. So have you seen that? What are your thoughts on that track?
Oh, I have not heard it.
Okay. Check that out. It's a guy named Oliver Anthony Richmond from north of Richmond, and he's
I haven't heard of that either.
You haven't seen? Oh, guys, you guys must. You don't have my algorithm. I'll send. Hey, wouldn't that be cool?
Exactly. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool if you could send your algorithm? Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Or share news.
I don't want to see your algorithm, brother.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I work with Mo, so my algorithm is tainted for sure.
I definitely don't want to see your taint.
No taints. But anyway, yeah, check that out. I mean, here's a guy just sang a song and happened to record it, and boom, he's number one on the iTunes with this track, and
that's awesome.
He apparently just turned down an $8 million record deal offer And
Wow.
I don't know why.
Sounds like a smart move.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
Must have been if you turned it down.
yeah,
Or I don't know, what was it, a publishing deal? Usually those are bad.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's true.
Well, let's talk about that part of the music industry. You're obviously writing the stuff, self-publishing, and
Yeah,
then releasing.
we-
What are the steps that you go? You write it, you publish it, copyright and
Right-
publish, and then
write it. Yeah, you write it, get it fixed up and master it, or get it mastered. Get some artwork. Obviously, come up with a title.
right.
Get the artwork looking good, and then yeah, I usually just do it through DistroKid.
Okay.
I started my own LLC, registered it as a publishing company as well, so that I get both sides of the royalties. There's obviously there's a split,
Yep.
So yeah, that's I think the best way to go for any individual artist or band. Just start your own LLC and make it a publishing company, and go from there.
Yeah.
Collect everything you can.
Yeah, and explain that a little bit more, because there's the songwriting credits and the publishing credits. Is that how it works? And then
I'm not an expert in it, and I really knew it as I was doing all this recently, but I don't know that I could speak on it well enough. But there's the artist side gets their pay, and then the company that publishes the record also gets half of the pay. So
yeah,
if you published it under your own publishing company, I'm understanding that you get
100%.
100%,
Yeah,
just 50%. But it's the mechanical royalties, which is like radio play.
Yeah, which is that even a thing anymore? Sounds
It is if you're on like Sirius XM and stuff.
Right. And is that
and
SoundScan?
There is still radio.
Yeah.
Say again?
Is that SoundScan that tracks online?
There's Sound Exchange.
Sound
I think.
Exchange, yeah.
I'm not really sure. Again, I'm not an expert for anybody that's watching on that stuff. It's pretty complicated. Ronnie Jackson here at the studios probably tried to explain it to me 50 times, and I'm still not grasping it probably as fully as I should at this point. But
yeah,
that's definitely the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. It's and we'll talk about the studio here in a second, but this is an important part for an artist to make sure that they do the best thing they can for themselves, as far as capturing all the royalties they can, is create that. But your artwork, you said artwork a second ago, and I really love your logo. Who's doing your artwork for you?
I had someone do my logo on Fiverr, and then I got my art. I usually go to a place called artgrab.co, I think. Artgrab is pretty cool. There's all kinds of stuff that you can buy licenses for. You can actually even offer, say like a piece of art you like is $100. You can even make an offer on it as opposed to paying the full 100. I lately have been going to Artgrab. I know there are not better, but other sites for that kind of stuff. But Artgrab seems to have pretty good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. The lion theme is
it's like it's a tiger with like a crown on.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Is that going to be the brand? Are you going to roll with that? I like it.
Yeah, I'm going to keep going with it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I've had good feedback. I think it looks kind of cool. I've had it for a decent amount of time now. I'm just going to keep going with that, I guess, for now.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the studio that you're sitting in right now. Ianor Studios.
Ianor Studios.
Is it cold in there?
Is it cold in here?
Yeah.
No, he keeps it warm.
I got the AC blasting. I got there's one in the vocal booth and there's one over here.
Well, you know why I'm asking, just because of where it's at.
Oh, at the rink.
Oh, because of the cooler.
Yeah. But you actually, I think I've been in the studio down there with you, and you keep it warm.
I usually do. Lately, I don't know why I'm on an AC kick, but you're right. I usually do. I keep most of my environments, like my girlfriend calls wherever I am a terrarium, because it's like so warm she can't even enter. So lately I've been blasting AC. I feel like it helps me stay focused. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'll probably go back to heat.
Are you growing weed in there?
No, it won't grow in the UV. He doesn't got the wrong UV lights.
Oh,
He's got LED. He didn't get the
these aren't
UV.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get the special ones.
Yeah. Well, tell us about the studio. How many rooms there are and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, sure. There's 5 rooms. I'm in the D room. It's more of a production room. I might be able to turn the camera around a little bit so you can kind of see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
That's my rack there. Bunch of different playback stuff. Vocal booth in there with the mic. Also a little MIDI keyboard. But yeah, this is our D room. There's another room next door, C room, pretty similar to this. The one next to that, the Dolby room, where you can do Dolby Atmos mixes. So it's basically you're sitting in a room, there's speakers all over you, and you're controlling where all the audio is going, like the placement.
Yeah.
And then upstairs we have. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Keep going upstairs.
Yeah, so upstairs we have A1 and we have A2. They're both phenomenal, beautiful facilities. Each room has its own lounge. We've got a Neve in one room and an SSL in the other room.
Yep.
Some other pretty cool outboard gear. They've got custom Augsburger speakers, actually designed by George Augsburger, not the ones that you can just get from the internet.
Yeah.
They're pretty cool, pretty unique rooms. I'm not sure who's up there right now. I'd hate to barge in, but we could totally do like a tour sometime if you guys are ever interested.
Yeah, definitely.
Love to. I was trying to get Ronnie to come on, but he's pretty much working every Friday.
He's
there.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is. He pumps out music faster and more efficiently than anybody I've ever met. The guy's an absolute genius with what he does.
Yeah. How just on an average, I know it's hard to say, but how long does it take from start to finish on one of your projects, one of your songs?
It depends. I mean, I could probably sometimes write it in a couple days, but then like getting down to mixing the stuff and getting everything to fit right it's a different game than the rock stuff. So that usually takes quite a bit of time, but anywhere from a week, sometimes a month. It just kind of depends. Depends on the track, how complicated it is, what's going on. If it's got some new sounds in it that it's hard to layer, you have to fit right. It really depends on the project.
Yeah. And do you ever find that I do this, like I'll start out gangbusters on an idea. I was like, man, that's the greatest riff I've ever written. And then once I kind of get into it, I'm like, no, that kind of sucks. And
I don't do it anymore.
Yeah, and I don't want to get it to the finish line because I'm like, it's nothing.
I think the best way I've learned for myself is when you write a track or you get like pretty far with it, once you start to get to, as long as you can keep listening to it over and over without getting too bored, I think it's a good sign that it's decent. Yeah, but I think sometimes it's good to put a song away for a couple days or even a week, write something new and then come back, because I think it's really important to try to listen to music as a first-time listener, which is hard to do because obviously you're writing it and hearing it constantly, but getting it out of your brain is really helpful because you want to listen from the perspective of someone new that's going to come listen to your song.
It's a great.
You're not going to get. You're only going to get like 30 seconds of their attention. If you can make it past that, you might get them for the rest of the song. But people aren't going to really give you the time of day, and you got to really be in tune with that. I think when you're writing.
That's a great point. I have 2 points just to add to that.
Yeah.
The first one is if we don't rehearse for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we come back in and we do our entire set, and it's like most of the time something magical comes out of it to where we're like, damn, that's the best we've ever done in the set.
Yeah.
At least for me, a couple of times it's happened. Second one is when we start a rehearsal, we'll usually warm up with something that's just pulled out of our asses, actually pulled out of Ray's ass.
Yeah.
And
off the top of your head,
we just go with
jamming.
it, and we'll jam for 5 or 10 minutes, and it's like we should have hit record, because it was really badass.
Yeah,
and then of course, being the age we are, we can't remember what the hell we just did 5 minutes ago. So So that song is down the toilet, and it's too bad because it would have turned into something really cool.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
something we're trying to remember to do is hit record for
hit
the first 5
record,
minutes.
even when you're just, I don't know, as long as you've got the hard drive space to let it go and record, you should.
Yeah. It's even easier than that, Mike. With the X32 mixer here, you can put a thumb drive into it and just
record to that
and just hit record.
But you have no excuse then. You have to just have like a stack of thumb drives.
The only
ready to go.
We've got 2 that are down the drain for sure. I know of.
Yeah, 3.
Damn.
3, yeah, at least.
And no, the only excuse is that when we get together, we're tuning, we're getting our ears in, we're kind of chit chatting, and then once I'm in tune, I kind of just swell in, and then the bass player or he'll come up with a beat, and then I'm done. My mind is going to playing the song or writing a song, and I forgot to hit record. So yeah, we'll try to be more cognizant about that. But that's a good point. Is in a band setting, in a room full of creatives, if you don't hit record when it's that
you might
easy,
miss something for sure.
You're gonna lose it.
When we've been doing this pre-production stuff because we're going to go record, I have done the same thing. I made the same mistake. I didn't hit record on Adrian, and we totally forgot what the fuck he was doing. And you got to just, especially if you can. I think just part of your routine when you get set up, put the thumb drive. Just let it rip.
Has to be a routine for sure.
Now, when you guys do the for fun recording, are you going to record it there, or how? Where are you going to track drums there?
We're going to do the drums there as well. Yeah, everything there.
Where?
Oh, at Zach and Kenneth's.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's called, I think it's called Streaming Eagle or something like that. But yeah, all there.
Yeah, good. That's good. And then you said the Dolby Atmos room.
Yeah.
And you're mixing for surround sound at that point. You've got your front, right, and left, and you've got your center, and then you've got up top, front, right, and left,
behind you,
and then rear, high and low. So when I always wanted to,
is everything's flat response? I mean, that's all just dry. Everything you're hearing is,
you can. I'm not exactly a pro at doing it, but from what I understand, you can basically place whatever sound you want. Yeah, literally any placement.
Well, my question, I guess, is it's not EQ'd, it's not mixed at all. It's what was recorded, and that's it.
Usually you'll take the mixed files and after it's mixed, and then you'll take those mixed files and then create an Atmos mix from that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I could take say a song that's got 16 stems, drums, bass, keyboards, ethereal guitar. I can place it back there. I can place, and I can EQ that certain guitar right over my left ear high to come in with a tremolo and sound like a Western movie.
That's pretty cool.
Yep.
But my question about that room is okay. I've done my mix and we've got it in surround sound Atmos. Essentially, if you don't have a home theater, you won't with Atmos. You won't be able to hear the awesomeness of that mix.
Yeah, you have to have some kind of surround sound for it to work. Either a home theater or some kind of headphones that are that have a Dolby Atmos capabilities.
So, have you guys seen that new Sphere in Las Vegas?
I've seen it.
I've seen a couple of pictures.
Yeah. It's a live music venue with speakers everywhere around this entire dome, and that's the idea of being just enthralled in sound.
Nowhere in the building is bad sound.
There's speakers literally everywhere in this Sphere inside. Yeah.
It looks incredible. Those graphics they put up on it are
it's
amazing.
ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's like something out of the future.
Well, I've yet to see anything pictured from the inside. I bet the inside does the same thing and is.
For sure. It's like a Thunderdome.
I bet it's a 360 LED wall that's perfectly round
on the outside. Yeah.
Well, on the inside, I bet it's the same way. Have you seen
inside
pictures?
is supposed to be all speakers.
What did they call the thing?
I don't know, and I haven't seen the inside. I've just seen the outside, and
Uh,
I've just read about
Vegas
the inside.
Sphere. There you go. I want to see what it looks like on the inside. From they've done.
I think we should book a gig there.
Yeah. So that was kind of my. I have ADHD, so I'm going to bounce all over the place. But that was kind of my point about like Ameris Amphitheater, for example. It's a Live Nation venue, or any venue. Like if I come in as an artist and I rent the arena or Buckhead Theater or the Fox Theater. I come in, I rent the theater, and I'm paying, just to throw a number out there, $25,000 for the night for security in the building and the this and the that. They can't possibly be asking for part of my merch when I've paid them for the building, right?
Yes, they can.
How is that? That blows my mind.
I don't know. I think whatever you negotiate into a contract,
right?
Yeah,
that would have already been talked about at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think. Yeah, that I don't know. That seems. I don't know. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
They don't all do it. Like I said, not every single place does it. It depends on how cool they are. Like Vamped, I don't believe Vamped in Vegas did it, just because.
Yeah,
he's such a cool dude.
Yeah, but that's a bar. That's a
club.
Venue. Yeah, it's a club.
The bigger places are definitely going to hit you with it.
Yeah.
And you have to, and listen to this. They make you match price. They make you match price. They make you sell your T-shirts for the same amount as Iron Maiden or anybody else that you're playing with.
Wow.
Yeah, it's.
They want consistent revenue, I guess. Consistent price, I guess.
It's messed up.
That's wild.
Yeah. I think that's also, everybody, why you're paying $70 for a hoodie.
Yeah.
$35 for just a T-shirt.
Sure. Yeah.
$40 for a hat.
So expensive.
It's not the bands that are trying to making that happen.
Yeah, the bands aren't the ones that are raping you on those prices, for sure.
All right, so I am looking at the interior of the Vegas Sphere, and it does look more like like a Phillips Arena. It looks, there's the seating is normal. The only thing that looks different on the interior is that it essentially looks like you're going in the Georgia Dome or the Mercedes-Benz Stadium on the inside. But the outside, looks like a giant eyeball.
It's an eyeball.
It's like whatever they put up there.
It's a big basketball.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty rad.
You gotta not.
It's supposed to sound amazing.
I bet. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure.
You got to give it to the engineers for pulling that one off.
Yep.
Wrap this thing in a bunch of TVs and make it not. Well, it doesn't rain that much in Vegas, so I guess you got that.
Not too much.
Sure.
I'm sure it's waterproof.
All right. Well, Mikey, what do you got coming up? We're gonna play a track. The track. You got two tracks that are kind of pretty new right now. Which one should we start with?
Oh, you can play either, or you don't even have to play them. It's whatever.
Play them.
Yeah, we're playing one. Come on.
Yeah.
Play the Don't Call It a Comeback. That's probably the newest one. It seems to be doing pretty well on Spotify so far.
Okay. All right. Well, here you go. We're gonna come. Don't Call It a Comeback, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.
Cool.
Don't call it a comeback. Don't call it a comeback. I'll be in here forever. Don't call it Don't call it a comeback. I'll be in jail forever.
And there you have that.
There's several different ways that you could use that music, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Soundtrack. In a dance club, obviously.
Yeah.
That would be a great soundtrack in a movie.
Hey, can we open with that thing? Can we?
That would be
you
another.
Use it, you do whatever you want.
That would be another way. Yeah.
Have that thing play. Well, I mean, our intro is pretty like down,
spacey.
You're that's a little too much energy
for our intro.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. But for somebody that's
sorry, I couldn't really hear the music or anything, so I was just sitting. So I hope I wasn't being
no, that's all right.
Now
we have that issue.
We got you covered with the graphic there, but yes, I agree. Listening to the production quality of what you're doing now versus the 2015, this is very smooth and polished, and
it's
also
great. Yeah.
It's the first time that I've listened to it in ears, so I'm really hearing a lot of stereo separation.
Yeah.
It's just got it's a good, nice pulse. Who's doing the vocal? You doing that?
That's what I asked him earlier. It was.
Yeah, no, that's not me.
Yeah.
That's so I don't want to say who it's supposed to emulate, but it's an AI vocal. I made an AI say what I wanted to say.
I know who it
beautiful.
is. Yeah, everyone knows. You might know who it is, but we don't want to. I'm not trying to get
off air. I'm going to ask you if I'm right.
You're probably right.
Because he mentioned it, and I'm like, I don't know if I know who you're talking about, but
There's a way to hopefully, I don't want to talk too much about it.
No. Don't say another word. We'll talk off air.
It was AI, yeah.
That's awesome. The intro for our show, the intro for the podcast is an AI voice that I made it say what it says.
That's sick.
And then
that's AI?
Yes.
I had no clue.
Yeah. It's an Australian chick. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm thinking of somebody else then.
That's a you're listening to the original music.
No, not that. I thought you were talking about our
Oh no, that's a real dude. That's actually a hockey dad. English guy, and I detuned his voice to sound like Darth Vader.
No, he sounds like Morgan Freeman.
Yeah, or James Earl Jones. Well, that's an interesting thing. As far as the AI, everybody's like, in fear of it, but here we both are using it.
Embrace it
as creatives.
Embrace it. There's no reason to fight anything that comes along.
I totally agree. Everybody's gonna do what they're doing anyway. It's just things change and evolve, and just do it.
Just ride the wave. It's the only way to stay with it, I think. That's at least what I've been told. You gotta,
I agree.
Even if you don't like a genre, you just gotta respect it for what it is. And if there's some kind of momentum behind it and you don't get it, someone else does. And we've all been there.
That's right. Yeah. Everybody
didn't understand what we liked.
You're either going to listen to it or they're not, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But to badmouth it is bullshit,
Well, I guess, okay, so I guess it comes down to this. Is my perspective on it. Like I went to Chat GPT and I asked it to write me a song about this in the key of A minor, and it wrote, just because I said it was in the key of A minor, it was smart enough to go, oh, it's a sad song. And then I asked it to write a song with chord progressions and lyrics about the sunny day and the sun coming up and the birds chirping in the key of A major, and all of a sudden, boom, it wrote positive sounding thing.
Yeah.
And so I guess for people that are actually making a ton of money in the music industry or in film, writing scripts or blah blah blah, I guess that would be scary to them, you know.
Oh, for sure. It is a useful tool, but I don't know. We'll see how far it goes.
Yeah.
I know it can do some things pretty well, and I've heard that its ability to code will be pretty crazy in the next 5 years, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I if there's a way to continue to ride it without affecting your livelihood, then definitely. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah. It's fun and cute. It's a fun, cute, adorable little technology right now, but then Sarah Connor is going to come into our life in 10 years and say we screwed up. What was in
Terminator?
In Terminator, what was the Starnet?
Oh,
Skylink?
Skynet.
What is it?
Skynet.
I mean, we have all of the infrastructures in place for it to go wrong. You know what I mean? Right. Internet everywhere, connectivity I mean, it could go wrong, but I'll be long gone by then.
It totally could. We all might go at the same time at that point.
That's true.
Yeah. How do you like my music now? Well, we're back on crystal radios,
right?
You know.
Exactly.
Well, that's a really cool track, man. I think you're
yeah, it is. It's really good.
You're putting out quality stuff, and you always have, dude. You know.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I've always been a fan of your music. Even, you know, it's not what I play, but that's the beauty of it, right? You be you, right. I'll be me. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Just do your thing, whatever you like, go for it.
That's right.
So what's up next? What's next for you? Are you in the middle of a new song? Do you?
Yeah, another one with more AI vocals. I'm trying to just see how far I can go with it until there's a lawsuit.
Yeah.
I don't think it will be, but
listen, we'll talk about that off air too.
Well, if you ever played a video game, and you can have player 1, you can have player 2, player 3.
Yeah.
Which player are you? You're player 1, right?
I'm player 1. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's.
What do you mean?
That's his.
All right. Well, let's land the plane here, and we'll
all right. We'll talk off air. But I think that you might be right. Well, Mike, I appreciate you coming on, man. Keep us up to date with all of your next stuff. I'm following you on my Spotify, so when you release something, and I also see you on the socials. I notice you're doing mostly Instagram type of stuff.
Yeah, mostly Instagram. I appreciate the love, man. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Honor to talk with you guys.
It was great to meet you.
Yeah,
and I'll be listening to your stuff too now on Spotify. Thank
you.
Yeah, Spotify is on there. But one more thing before we go, where can people find you? What are your socials and your?
They are Bardis Sound. That's for my Instagram and Facebook. And then if you just search on Google, type in Bardis on Spotify, you'll see my page pop up.
Perfect.
Probably the first one.
All right. Well, that sounds great, man. We will see you soon locally, cool. and hope to hear the new track. I want to hear it before everybody else does, actually.
I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you.
All right, brother. We appreciate you. Well, have a good night, and stay on the line. We'll talk to you afterwards.
Take care, brother.
All right, sounds good. Peace, guys.
You're watching the Original Music Podcast with your hosts Raymond Hems and Rick Gaffman.